come and address the gathering.
NPTI, Professor Vincenzo Fiore, Dr. Annappa, Dr. D.P. Kothari, Mr. Nihar Raj, Professor Atikur Rahman, Professor S.N. Singh, VC, Madan Mohan Malviya University, Professor Valentina Balas, Professor Maria Viru. I really hope I'm getting all the names and spellings correct. Distinguished guests, my faculty colleagues, and any member on or off the dais whose name I may have missed out, and of course my dear students. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
And a very, very warm welcome to this conference. For all our distinguished guests from abroad, I would like to bring to your notice a momentous occasion in India's evolution on the road of technology. 2 days ago, the Supreme Court of India, the highest court of justice in the country, gave a unique ruling on the Aadhaar card, which is the unique identification number. It upheld the validity of that Aadhaar card. A country of billions has been assembled together. Each individual in this great nation has a unique identity number, which in itself could not have been done without technology. Though, of course, to protect privacy of individuals, the Supreme Court laid down some do's and don'ts and prohibited certain usages of the unique identity card number. But our finance minister said, and this is what spells the spirit of India, what is prohibited, what are the prohibited areas, the government has no option. I'm quite happy with the permitted areas rather than worried about the prohibited areas. With this backdrop of India having launched itself as a technology-savvy nation, and India having made its presence felt on its willingness, its excitement, its desire to adopt technology fast, today India is a nation for whom, if I use these 3 words, adopt, adapt, and transform with the help of technology, that is our buzzword. For this, I'm extremely, extremely grateful to all our distinguished guests who have taken the trouble to be here today. They've come from all parts of the world. The researchers, the paper presenters are from all parts of the world and the country to come here to deliberate. I'm particularly grateful to IEEE. It's the world's largest technical professional society, promoting the development and application of electrotechnology and allied sciences for the benefit of humanity, for the professional growth of its members, and for the well-being of society. I have been reading a lot about IEEE, and I was so delighted to read the past achievements. Ladies and gentlemen who represent the forum, who are members of the forum, it's delightful to learn that the standards set by IEEE have been adopted as national and international standards. That's the difference that you're making. For us at Galgotias University, what is the impact? What's the significance of this conference? Traditionally, education and books is what Galgotias University is associated with. Over about 100 years ago, Galgotias started out in the publication business, book publication, and from there it was a natural transgression into retailing, bookstores, etc. And then coming up in the education sector with the College of Engineering, and then in 2011 with the university, which has 17 schools, with 15,000 students on our roll, 700 faculty members, as diverse as practically all branches of engineering, pharmacy, nursing, education, law, legal aspects, media, BSc in agriculture. We are primarily an agricultural country, so with that in mind, we've taken on that too. Physiotherapy, forensic, name it and we have it. And one of the guiding principles of education that is imparted here is to ensure that the students are equipped with the readiness to learn and adapt for the future which has not yet been created. 10 years ago, the technologies that we are using with such ease was not there. We couldn't even imagine. And today, all of us seated here, apart of course, maybe I'm wrong, because I have these eminent, passionate engineers here, but perhaps we can't foresee entirely what are the technologies that are going to be there 10 years from now. So this is the objective of the university. When we have this congregation of eminent people here, to take from them, to learn from them, and at the end of it, bring it to our students, bring it to my young faculty colleagues. You know, you must be aware that one of India's advantage is a demographic dividend, which is a very under 30 population, very youthful population. So we have these young brains raring to go, raring to live the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister of placing India on the global map. Whether it is deep learning applications such as image, video and audio recognition, digital currencies which frighten me a lot, but perhaps you will bust the big myth in these deliberations today. Industrial IoT, large number of companies delivering blockchain products, robotics where research has been going on for a long time but applications have been limited, perhaps they can be used in the medical space. All these areas, somewhere along the line of what I've read of the papers that have come to us, are going to be deliberated. And I would like to quote a management guru, Alvin Toffler, when he said, I quote, "Warned of an impending upheaval, managers continue to do business as usual. And business as usual is dangerous, particularly in an environment which has become, for all practical purposes, convulsive. We are in the era of disruptive technologies. And I assure you that Galgotias University and the fraternity and the students at Galgotias University are eager to be part of that disruptive technology. As I said, we adopt, adapt and transform. Today, as I was mingling with our guests, with our researchers, the one thing that I felt was a palpable excitement. Here we have an assembly of persons, each of whom wants to make a difference in the area he or she is working in. And I would not be wrong if I said about these people assembled here, once again I quote, if you want to leave your footprints, on the sands of time, don't drag your feet. This message is for the young students. This is what the galaxy of researchers, professors, administrators present here have done. They are in the process, in their own individual expertise areas, as well as collaboratively as members of IEEE Forum. They are here to leave footprints on the sands of time at Galgotias University. I assure you, I promise you, on behalf of Galgotias University, we are eagerly looking for collaboration. I promise And that's for the young faculty there. I promise not to go back on my promise. I promise that if there is some collaborative research opportunity, we will sponsor the faculty to visit your respective institutions for graduation. So, I wish the event a great success. I welcome all the new friends that I have made today. I'm so pleased to meet all of you, and I look forward and cherish this occasion as a lifetime period of friendship. So with these words, I welcome all of you. I thank the organizers, Rabindranath Shaw, Dr. Shan, Dr. Sarvana, my Dean Planning, Dean Student Welfare, professors, Professor Nain, our Pro-Vice Chancellors, Professor Pradeep, Professor Rai, Professor Babu, Ganesh Babu. All of you have put in all the best, all your efforts, all your support to make this event successful. So I hope it will be the convergence of brilliant ideas from these people, from all of you here assembled here, from whom the passion I can see emanating, and will be guided by this amazing panel on the stage today, each of them with sterling performance in their research areas. Thank you very much.
Professor Dr. Renu ma'am, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University, to hand over the lovely flowers to Professor R.K. Pandey sir.
Professor H.C. Pro VC, to hand over the lovely flowers to Professor S.N. Singh sir. Loud round of applause.
Professor Pradeep Kumar sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, to hand over the flowers to Professor Vincent Jobure. Thank you, sir.
Christy Shan sir, Dean SEECE, to hand over the lovely flowers to Professor Vilas.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. We would now like to call upon Professor Avdesh Kumar, Dean Planning, to hand over the bouquet to Professor L.C. Jain sir. Thank you, sir.
Can we please have on stage Professor A.K. Jain sir, Student Welfare Dean, to hand over the lovely flowers to Professor George.
Dr. Ganesh Babu sir, to hand over the token of love to Professor Atika Rahman sir. It's such a lovely morning. Why do we have so much of less energy?
Thank you, sir. Can we please have on the dais Professor Prashant Jori to hand over the lovely flowers to Sri Nihal Raj sir.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to call upon Professor Ravindra sir to hand over the flowers to Professor Dr. Renurutra ma'am.
Can we have amongst us Professor Satpati to hand over the bouquet to Professor D.P. Kothari sir.
Thank you so much, sir. We would now like to call upon our own distinguished chief guest, Professor R.K. Pandey sir, to address the gatherings.
And honored Professor D.P. Kothari ji and friends. The Galgotias University has really created the landmark by organizing the international conference on computing, power and communication technologies. As you are fully aware, originally conferences were being organized on power systems, or communications, or computational intelligence independently. But the organizers who have thought of combining the computing, power and communication technologies is now really the need of the hours globally. We all are fully aware that in order to ensure the industrial growth and development of any nation, the electricity is required. And electricity may be in the form of coal, renewable energy, hydro, gas, nuclear. But the major challenge is, whenever we are talking about the power generation technologies and power transmission and distribution along with to the remote areas, it's the need of the hour that merger of communication technology with the power itself has become a prerequisite in order to have the advanced control through advanced communication, where ICT, which we are fully aware, information and communication technologies, form base role. Recently, you have been observing many smart cities are coming throughout the world. In India, we have declared 100 smart cities by our Honorable Prime Minister. Now, once we talk about the smart cities, it's not only power requirement, it's all amenities which comes as service to the population in the respective areas. Whether it is service regarding transport, regarding facilities, regarding other service sectors. It's very important to understand that communication is going to become a very, very backbone. Now, recently in one of the meeting, I was mentioning to Chairman CA that G4, G5, what we're talking about as a net operating with the smart systems, operational issues are there because of communication delays and loss of data packets for the actual and real-time control systems. So the biggest challenge is whether we can go in isolation with the communication as a net, having the wireless communication or fiber optic communication. Since we are having geographically located at various places in India and abroad also, the biggest challenge is how to evolve the advanced communication which can look into real-time control effectively with incoming data sets, incoming signaling, to have effective control control strategy in the entire power network. And if you look back, whenever we go for the GPRS or RF communication in the smart systems, smart metering infrastructure, we find delays are in the system, the signaling. In RF, some communication is being lost, some packets are lost, you are getting the signal, not 15 minutes slot, next 15 minutes coming. By the time the system is losing the many information and control activation is going to be otherwise. So what is important that since people from abroad are available here and their expertise, I just talked in the ministry. If India can launch the national power satellite, and this national power satellite is dedicated satellite for the power sector only, and this power satellite will be operating in GPS framework in the real time. So all information highway will have great cyber security along with real time information processing, no delay data sending to the respective control centers. And if you remember, once we talk about some massive communication through the satellite, especially dedicated to the power sector, just what you start with, it requires computational intelligence to analyze the data, that is the data analytics. And therefore, computational intelligence is a part of your computing. Communication is a part of what we call national power satellite to arrive at the actual data in real time. And moreover, our objective is the entire global population. You know, India has established International Solar Alliance, one forum where 125 countries are members of that alliance, and I am the member of the core committee of that alliance. So the point of concern is, once the entire globe is joining hands in exchange of the power, it's mandatory for us to establish the grid structure, which faithfully can transfer the power not only within India, with SAARC countries and global network which is upcoming, evolving in next 10 years, 20 years. So the point is, power is not only the concern with the respective country, it's now global community. And therefore, what it will help? It will help the entire world to go for industrialization, fast industrial growth, fast economic growth, and at the same time, our societal structure in India or other African countries or any other country will be at par with the very developed countries, just like US, UK, France, Germany, and others. So, I always used to talk that classical power system as on date is no more. With upcoming renewable energy penetration, which is going to be a major showcase by India to the world, 100 gigawatt solar and 60 gigawatt wind and 15 gigawatt bioenergy, and that all are intermittent in nature. Once they are coming into the grid at given point of time, if intermittency is there, there is a major challenge for system operators. How to manage the power flow for 100 gigawatt absent power flow, that is intermittent or available in the grid. And therefore, from where this power will manage, therefore there has been the advanced control strategies, intelligence, computational intelligence, and data analytics, and real-time control, that to manage this we have to have energy storage, and that's pump, large pump storage or battery energy storage. So once we have the storage also, depending upon various studies to be carried out, and then locating the all storage devices at respective location. So we have challenge as a date, not only classical power network operation, but once these devices are coming in next decade, energy storage, EV charging infrastructure is coming. So our needs the IoT platform. And this IoT platform needs computational intelligence and communication as IoT. And therefore, this conference is very timely, very thought-provoking, in the sense that researchers have to come on the further have thinking that how these technologies have to be integrated and merged and new technologies can be evolved, especially for communication and computational intelligence in classical power systems as a date with upcoming renewable energy, which is going to be the large penetration at given point of time. So I'm sure this deliberation will be successful, and many researchers and your experts, I think, they will give very, very in-depth analysis about the respective materials and theme of the conference. That will form not only the basis of research, but will form a policy for India. How this India has to move with computational intelligence. Till date in CA it is not. But I told that it has to come. Without that, we cannot go with this large grid operation and smart cities and smart grid architecture. So therefore, computational intelligence and communication highway is now going to become the backbone of the power sector, not only in India, all over the world. And therefore, industrial growth, if any country requires, we must have the 24/7 power supply to all sectors, such that it can grow and economically sustain, and the country will become prosperous. With these words, I thank Galgotias University to invite me, and my best wishes to you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Malviya University, Gorakhpur.
Good morning to all of you. Honorable Mr. P.P. Kothari, my guide's guide, the second message. Nice seeing you here. Professor R.K. Pandey, my colleague, Guru Bhai, because we did with the same supervisor my PhD work. Professor Luthra, various distinguished professors and industrialists sitting on the dais, sitting off the dais, and delegates. Here, once any concern start with IEEE, and if it is happening in the UP section, so no doubt I have to mention the names. Those are the backbone for the IEEE activities in Uttar Pradesh. And present chairman who is sitting in this hall, I'll just say, please stand up, Professor Vaibhav Srivastava. He is the chairman. His role is to monitor the quality of the IEEE conferences in the section and also to promote the various activities on the benefit, etc. So he is looking after from 2018. Since this inception of this conference started 1 year back, at that time there was another UP section chairman who is Professor J. Ram Kumar. Please stand up. He just had a space on Galgotias to organize this GUCON, first GUCON conference, and both are from IIT Kanpur. Here we are going to have our IEEE 2020 members as well, again to have planned the various activities. And these two people are the pillars. No doubt my various people are also sitting here in the hall. You can see the secretary of IEEE section. I'll say Satish Kumar Singh. Please stand up. He is facilitating the hall and the secretary, and he will be for 2 years. So all this, if you are having any questions, anything, you can. Other members are there. I'll not say please stand, but they are going to have the meeting at 2 o'clock in this hall. Well, as I say, the IEEE, once we say, why I'm talking IEEE? Because no doubt, I'm the Vice Chancellor of Madan Mohan Malviya University of Technology, Gorakhpur, and just I took charge last year. So I'll not talk about the MMT. Anyway, I'm going to talk technical part after this inauguration session. So also I'll not talk any technical. This IEEE, as Madam already told, it is the largest professional body, having more than 4.25 lakhs members, and out of that, in the region 10, Asia Pacific, we are having more than 1 lakh members. And in that 1 lakh members, we are having 50% from India. You must know, in India, it is IEEE, and you know, this is the election year for the directors as well as the president. And mention is here who is the president-elect candidate. Please mention. You can say that. So he is from India, and he is one of the president-elect candidates. And also even the director-elect is also from India. There is the director of the region, this Deepak Mathur, who is also contesting. Please go. I am basically going to, even though from here again we are going to have another meeting of India Council. You know, we are having the 11 sections in India. As I said, we are having the masses of whole region 10, the 50% members are from here. 11 sections are there, and one is the Uttar Pradesh section is there, which is very energetic and is doing well. You are very neighbor to Delhi section. We are having Bangalore section, Gujarat section, Kolkata section, Hyderabad section, Kerala section, and Madras sections. And of course, Bombay section. So we are going to have this India Council meeting. Always we select the chairman, and Generally Sivaji Chakraborty, director of NIT Galgotias, who is heading this India Council, and I'm going to take charge from January 2019. I'll be there for 2 years to again increase the activities and vibrancy of IEEE, in not only in the UP section, because my fellow colleagues will be leading for the UP section, but now I will be after whole India Council. I am also representing this conference and technical seminar coordinator of Asia Pacific region 10. For the last 4 years I am here, and we are trying to improve the quality, various flaws, and especially that is happening in our country as well as in China, that is the privilege and the poor quality of the papers. Always many conferences are banned, many authors are banned by IEEE. Always I say on this platform when we talk about IEEE conferences, please be honest about your papers. Please produce a good quality paper, because this not only you are defamed, it is the India is also defamed. Always we are having formed one quality management committee to oversee all these issues. If there will be any complaint, normally we are very harsh, committee is formed, and again IEEE is asking us and we are intervening in that matter. And sometimes I said many people are fired from their jobs, because this is a crime Government of India has also recognized. So in terms of quality, don't copy, give the proper recognitions where you are taking the concepts and ideas, and you should write in your way and produce some of the good quality research papers, maybe in the conferences, maybe in transactions, maybe in journals. So that is another things we have to keep on doing, that is basically required, which I was thinking that is important to mention here. I should not forget once I talked about IEEE, because IEEE, the tagline, is the technology for humanitarian, because always the technology for not the disaster, technology for the human being, deprived people, the rural people, which technology has not reached, and still we need. We know this our Indian culture, we know the Indian problems, and I hope in this conference the many issues related to the computing, related to communication, related to the power and energy, and other related issues will be discussed. Various speakers, I saw the program. Basically, I am the one of the chair of this conference. I saw a lot of good speakers will be delivering this. Now, always the question arises, why the conferences? What is the need of the conference? Because everyone is eager to publish the paper in journals. So the conferences are having no meaning, but it has a very high impact. Along with the discussions, having to face-to-face, to meeting the group, even though they have done a grand work. Just I can say, my guru's guru, the Kutaris are here. You see how many papers he has published. Maybe thousands. It is very easy. If you not be here, you cannot meet him. Many similar type of people are here. That's by name you must be knowing, but now it is a chance to interact. Chance to see, and these conferences are the platform to make networking. Nowadays it is not only technology, not only this subject knowledge, but listen how they are presenting the things, how they are talking, because nowadays life is so fast, I believe very few people are going through the net to read any chapters or anything. But this is a platform where you can exchange your ideas, you can even learn a lot, and certainly I am very much benefited. Normally because this is the later period where I have no work. At least I have to listen, whether it is in my area or other area. And no doubt, you studied in your area, but never go in others area. And this is a platform where you can also see how the interdisciplinary ideas. And that is now the need. Each area is saturated. I can tell you the research, always you will be doing the research. You will be supervising to your guide, always you search for the topics. And finding the same areas very difficult to get the topics. And always you hunt for this. Which area have to work. So nowadays the interdisciplinary areas are rising. Different type of computings are there. So all these will be the tools that will be used, and once you are sitting in the hall, try to think how this person who is talking that will benefit to yours or your area, that will be the gain you will be taking away from this group. So always the conferences are giving something to take away from this room, and it is not the end of the conference. Always basically you can interact, and then you can make your friends and always discuss the various technology and the topics. So I hope this conference will be a great success, and you will be going with not your open-handed, you will be having a full of handed. This will be coming out from this conference, and hope this conference will be a great success. Thank you, Sir Galgotias University. Thank you.
Our next guest of honor, Professor Vincenzo Pure from the University of Milan, Italy, to kindly address the gathering.
Honorable guest on the dais, honored distinguished guest in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, namaste. It is really a great pleasure for me and the honor to be with you today and have the opportunity of discussing many topics, many technical advancements, many ideas. This is essential. This is one of the essential opportunities that we have, networking among us, since this will help in having a better understanding of the technical topic, of the possibility of using the technical achievement in applications for the benefit of the people. Today, we are going to share more and more the knowledge. Let's light together the lamp of knowledge and let's bring the light in the world, since this is what really can make the difference. IEEE can facilitate all of these activities, but it's you who make the difference in the world. It's you who can bring here the ideas, the willingness to share the ideas, the desire, the dedication, the brilliant mind. It's you who can make the difference in the world, advancing science, technology, applications. And this will be essential more and more, since you can improve the economical situation, not only in India but in the world. This will help also in improving the quality of the life of people. This will help in bringing more peace in the world, since when we understand each other and when we are able to talk, all barriers are down. And this is important to ensure the economic and social development in India and in the world. It is essential to promote the life of people, to make the difference in the world and ensure that every citizen feels more comfortable in a global environment. I believe that IEEE should always facilitate the access to knowledge, since from knowledge, innovation, dedication is where everything can start. And this is why it is so important to nurture the research in the academia and in the industry now, and bring these ideas, these opportunities, this desire, this dedication to the next generation. Ensure that the next generation will continue the work that has been started by many dedicated people in the community. And this is what will ensure that all of us will have a bright future. So, thank you for what we are doing. As past Vice President of the Technical Activity of the IEEE, I really would like to thank you on the behalf of the IEEE, what we are doing, what each and every one of you is doing, what you will do for the future of our scientific and professional community, for the future of India, for the future of the world. Thank you. From Boston.
Thank you, sir. The desire, the desperation, the goal.
Truly inspiring and practically foresighted, we believe that the proceeding event will truly prove quintessential for the gathering in the presence of such dignitaries. We request Professor Arappa, Chairman of IEEE India Council Computer Chapter, to hand over the mementos to Professor R.K. Pandey, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we request Professor J. Ramkumar, the chairman of IEEE India Council representative, to kindly hand over the mementos to Professor SNC. Thank you, sir. We request Professor Vaibhav Srivastava, IEEE Chairman, UP Section, to hand over the mementos to Professor Vincenzo Fiore, sir. Can we have a round of applause? Thank you so much, sir.
Basically, our goal is to try to understand how artificial intelligence, machine learning, can be used to improve the solutions for various application areas, for various industrial areas, and one of them is the area of the energy. This is an area which is very, very important nowadays in order to ensure the access to energy all over the world, especially in the rural areas, where maybe not so easy to have the wiring bringing energy from central sources. And the goal has been to try to find alternative solutions to improve the autonomy of configuring and managing the control and the distribution of the energy. In addition, we have tried also to provide solutions based on artificial intelligence to model power plants in order to have an optimum understanding of the behavior of the systems and to support what-if management so that the operators can work much better and in much safer conditions. And finally, we have been able to use artificial intelligence to improve the quality of the prediction of the workload and other behaviors in the networks, so that it's possible to bargain better on the market and take the best advantage to reduce the cost of the energy for the benefit of the citizens and for the benefit of the industry. And today, the focus is on the solar applications, on the solar energy applications. You know that photovoltaic plants are more and more used, and in particular, they are very helpful to reduce the cost, the dependency on energies like oil or other non-renewable energies, which in several cases are contributing in a significant way to the pollution. The renewable energies, hydroelectric, solar, and so on, will help using these natural resources to have cleaner energy for cleaner countries. And this is an important area, and there are many aspects which need to be analyzed in order to allow to achieve the best quality, the best efficiency in the management of these plants.
There are several aspects, several focus that we need to deal with the solar energy. We need first to understand which is the amount of energy that in a specific area we can take from the sun and transform in electrical energy. Then we need to understand how much of the energy which arrives from the sun to the solar panel can actually be used by the devices that we have in the solar panels to perform this transformation. Since on top of the solar cells we may have dust, we may have debris, we may have problems. In the solar cells we may have aging, we may have also other type of defects or possible malfunctioning which will decrease the ability of transforming the solar energy in electrical energy. For example, the dust on top of the solar cell will reduce, will filter the solar energy, and as a consequence on top of the devices we will have much less energy available. And finally, we need also to understand how much energy we are extracting from the system and using as a load. The more we are taking energy with high loads, the more we are reducing the ability of the solar cells to work. The more we increase the current that we extract from the solar cell attaching heavy loads, the less the cells, after a maximum point, will be able actually to follow this workload. And as a consequence, we need to be able to predict the workload in order to consider that we may need to attach to the grid our system, or we need to store the energy in batteries when we are not using the energy, all energy, and retrieve the energy when we are not, when we need it to support the energy generated by the solar cells. So these aspects are very important in order to have an optimum management of the power plant, of the solar power plant. And what we try to do is to try to use artificial intelligence to have an adaptive management, an adaptive understanding of these critical aspects, and to model the behavior of the system, the desired behavior of the system from the actual data that we can extract from the system itself during the previous operation, so that we can have a continuous adaptation of its behavior. To achieve this, we aim not only to experiment the statistical techniques or the model-based techniques, but we use also artificial intelligence, in particular neural network and fuzzy systems, and other more modern techniques like the convolutional neural networks, deep learning, and so on. Since what we try to do is not to rely on a physical model. In some cases, it's not really easy in this type of system to create a really accurate physical model. And sometimes it's also difficult to have a model which is taking into account the natural wearing of the devices or the natural physical phenomena like the deposition of the dust or other aspects that may significantly influence the behavior of the generation of energy with the solar panels. In addition, sometimes it's not really easy to choose the appropriate statistical model and configure it in a very accurate way, since we may need to know a priori which is the most appropriate model in order to configure it in the best way. With the artificial intelligence, what we try to do is actually to ask the machine learning technique to pick up the best model that we can and configure it. This is very easy. Our goal, our basic motivation has been to try to provide an approach very suited for people who are not experts, of course, and who are living in the rural areas where it may be difficult to have a periodic tuning
doing a periodic adjustment of the behavior of the solar panels, or even in the cities where anyway it may be expensive to do this kind of configuration if we needed to ask an expert, a technician to come and perform the configuration. So basically what we would like to have is a tool which allows us to run on public available data, so there is no cost to get them, and on the local data that can be extracted from the panel, by taking into account that we do not want to add a special sensor, we do not want to add a special equipment, but we wanted to use exactly the system that we have as it is provided for the regular operation. Since we do not want to increase with special instruments the cost of this installation. The goal is to try to make more affordable, more efficient the use of these technologies, so that people in the rural areas or citizens in the city can benefit from exploiting as much as possible the ability of transforming the solar energy into electrical energy. And this will help the economy and the country to grow even more, since the other energy which is produced by other bigger plants can be made available to the industries and to the citizens who have not yet had the opportunity to have this kind of technologies installed in their home. So basically what we wanted to do is to have a technique which is able to self-manage in an easier way. We wanted to have a technique which uses public data so that there is no cost in collecting the information. Actually, during our experiments, we added some instrument to the environment where we were working, but that was not to support the approach that I'm going to present. But it was only to have a secondary check, an independent check about the quality of our prediction in order to validate the results that we have achieved, but are not used actually to support the solution by themselves. And what we have found is that artificial intelligence can be very useful in order to create these models in an autonomous way, using the data which are available in the system. Basically, we used the time series data collected from the observation, and what we try to do is to implement a regression, an analysis of this data, to have a regression approach, a regression function representing the behavior of the system as provided by the data that we have collected from the environment, or which have been made available by public services, for example, the climate services, the aeronautic services which are providing the weather forecast, or other services like this, which in the various countries made available this data at no cost. The choice that we have done is to find the best approximation of this data so that we can build the model in an autonomous way. Basically, we have studied various approaches in order to compare how they are working. We considered some very simple approaches which are known as the lazy approach. These exactly are lazy, and we will see them shortly. These techniques are very easy to configure, but in many cases are not really accurate. We have used this model as a reference so that we can be sure that we are not doing worse than the worst approach possible. We used also several artificial intelligence techniques since we tried to build this model, as I say, in an autonomous way. And we tried to use both neural networks approaches, different type of neural network approach and more modern techniques in the area of neural networks. And we used also some fuzzy approach to take into account a fuzzy modeling for this type of environment. In addition, we try to use also some more classic. Well, the first part was, you can see the conference started with computing. So you talked about the computing, first lecture. Second topic is power, so I'll be talking on power. And third will be communication later. Well, while sitting here, I have done many curiosity about solars and its implication, what will be the impact on the grid, etc. Most probably I'll be discussing and will be touching some of the aspects on it. To start with, it is better because I can see the background is not all electrical engineering, but I should go quickly some of the things so that you can be at that level and I can refresh your ideas about the electrical engineering and how our grid, how our electricity is working. You notice, and normally I ask to my students, you see, once electricity was invented, long back somewhere 1882, it was DC. After that it becomes AC, and again we are going back to that AC, all these things we are having. So the technologists always, our engineers always, they think, what is not? And for that they always listen to challenging issues. And once you just question what is not, that is the challenge. And normally we search for a solution, and then the technology keeps on moving and rolling, you can say, and that we are achieving. Coming to this term, smart grid. No doubt, everywhere you are listening to smart city. Smart city, people are talking, smart grid, people are talking, smart computing, people are talking, smart communication. Everywhere we are adding word smart. Now question is start, whether our existing system is not smart. Lot of debates are there, whether this new terminology. Suppose I want to say, how you will say a person, a man is a smart man. How you can say a girl is a smart girl? What features you want to see? Because talking is very easy. We say that person looking very smart. Why smart? Means in that you should have certain features. And what are those features? If I will say smart man, you should not only look good handsome. Or if you say smart girl, she should not only looking as beautiful. She should have all the good characteristics of a human being. And you know it is impossible. Similarly, coming to the smart city or smart grid, it is one part, one component. Because in the smart city, smart people live, smart transport required, smart infrastructure, smart road, smart fuel system, smart communication, everything should be smart, then it can be smart city. And that we are pursuing. Means there will be huge challenges, and one by one we are trying to solve the problem with the help of technology, and we are moving forward. Achieving, suppose I say the sugar is sweet, means there is a possibility you are having the sweetest also. Similarly, there is no ultimate aim. This goal, means we are trying to improve always our system by the existing or the new technology.
In the previous class of the electricity transmission area, and earlier a large number of cases of transformer failures, and I have a discussion with the NTPC people that in the transformers, the transformer iron went down and generation of hydrogen was there, and transformer blew up. It just seeing that what happened over there. So I want to update myself that we haven't changed the technology right now, or we are still in the same position.
The technology are changing. Earlier we had the iron transformers, now we have the iron-less transformers. But the burning etc. is not very much related to the iron. What component is there? Because iron we have to put it to, or we have to put the poor quality of iron, then insulation will go away, and then finally it will burn and this and that. But what happens now, once we put the transformer, the planning is missing. We always overload those transformers. And once you are overloading, heat will be more, quality will be poor, it will burn. So there's always, you say, the rural areas, the transformers are always just one power and activity. We never try to load it. So we always try to put an 80%. We are loading 100%, a small jerk is there, transformer will go away. So we are never planned properly. And those are the areas where the highly congested, the breakdown is more. Why not we have the 400 kV transformer in Berlin? Never. Never right in it. Only the distribution transformer. Because we never plan. 20 megawatt transformer is there, keep on adding. And even though we say the power to you 1 kilowatt, you are using 5 kilowatt. And that based on that is designed. Overlay, nobody can. So that is there. So it is not related to technology. It is nothing in every system of plant. Once we plant, that's why I say, the big transformer, 100 megawatt transformer in your country is not done it. Very rare. So most of the distribution transformers, you do this. Because there we design and we plan properly. Even though small there, the transformer will break. Even though it's small over, here there is no protection. Even though they are bypass. There it is bypass. So, yes. Can be loud, so not required.
Thank you, sir. Sir, according to you, which one is more reliable, a traditional grid or a smart grid? Like having heard about the previous question, a transformer failure. Now, adding lot of components in smarter grid compared to traditional grid, I think more the number of components reliability should decrease. But what do you think? A traditional grid is more reliable or smart?
Yeah, your question is again, you see, you are wearing the clothes long back. It was not very good car, very better. At that time, our requirement was less. It was not so complex, and we were manually operating. It was a small pack. It was okay. But now it's increasing, and in that we have to go for the automation. And these components, each component has a reliability. If one component fails, then we should have one backup for that. Then it will work. So you are putting more cost. Technology is moving, cost is going to be. So now we cannot say that is gold or this is gold. Why the technology was rising? I said that's the question. Why we are working at $1,000 now? Why not the 20 years, 100 years back? Because that one was not the need. Now it is the need of ours because load is. Once load is increasing, we have to go for the efficient operation. And then for that, we are having the technology and we should search for the new technology to make either further increase. So we cannot say that is old. No doubt we say old is gold. That time, I'll give you a very simple example like this. The fans earlier, they were not burned. The fans were circulated, very reliable. They are going in the slow motion, but very cool and very fast. Now we say the fans are so fast rotating and always get the problem that is the violation of. Why? Because that time, we say even another example. We say the bridge made by the processor is more reliable than what we make. Yes, I example. So we are saying those bridges are good and these are bad? No. Because here something else problems are there which are not. At that time they were making with the two safety factors. Now we are going the engineering age is optimized. We try to make it a way so that we can reduce the cost. So it is a trade-off of cost and the quality
that needs to be looked into. But nevertheless, we will try to see what all we can touch here from the practical aspects. So we have been discussing since morning, and I believe so that honorary members who were there on the dais earlier have touched upon the concepts of the evolving grids, the smart grids, and how basically the grids are basically changing in India. And I would say that the picture is not the same everywhere. The rate at which the things are changing in different parts of the world is going to be really very different. And we will today take a walkthrough on what were the grids earlier, what are the grids that we see by 2030, what are the parameters which will really boost the change in this changing regime for the change of grids, and afterwards we will also try to see what are basically the factors which really affect the grids of the future, and finally we will also try to touch upon some of the technological aspects which may really be helpful to you when we are talking on really interconnecting the continents and grids and countries across the globe, because that is something which few years back, I still remember in 2005 one of the conference, people were really talking of interconnecting the countries, and that was really at that point of time was considered really a big technological challenge. But now with the HVDC technology coming in, it's really very easy to
interconnected countries altogether. So a lot of things are happening even on HVDC, and I think we can have a separate talk on that. But just to take a walkthrough on, if you see the conventional grids, Dr. S.N. Singh has already touched on that particular aspect. So we had a conventional generation, we had the conventional load centers, and the process was that basically the generation used to follow the load, and at the same time we used to also try to maintain a balance into the grid. But going forward, there have been several changes that have been seen that are being evolved into the power system. And one very important aspect is basically the greenhouse impact. Today, whenever you talk in the industry or whenever you talk at not many academia, the very basic purpose people are trying to work on is how to reduce the greenhouse effect. What can be the switchgear technologies where we can have the new innovations, where we can have the greenhouse-free gases. So earlier, if you see from the dielectric point of medium point of view, we used to utilize SF6, but now there are technologies that are available, the mixed gas technologies, where the consumption of SF6 has reduced greatly. So over the period of time, the technologies are evolving and people are going forward for making a stronger, smarter and greener grids. So in that particular way, even I believe there has been a dedicated group in SIGRE that has been formed. Okay, so I believe so in the first week we had some SIGRE conference, and there has been a dedicated SIGRE working group also who is working on how to reduce the greenhouse impact, especially coming from the electrical domain. So I believe that this will be a very good research area for the students going forward in future. Apart from
it's a wonderful talk. My query is that, yes, machine learning or artificial intelligence, these aspects can be useful for this area, but the challenge is that we can't get enough data openly, because in the lab or environment we cannot get it. In the industry we cannot get the data easily. So how to manage this sort of things?
Very interesting question. So this is the question which we had discussed some time back when we had an academia meet at IEEE. And the thing is, of course, we do not have the open data, as was discussed in the first session today. The utilities don't share their data. We really have a problem. So the best thing is, if we cannot have the data, we collaborate to have a data. So we need to have the projects that can be between academia and industry, okay, where the industry shares the data and then academia can utilize it. Because ultimately, see, what I see is there is a lot of data with industry. It can be industry, it can be utility. Even utilities are doing a lot of projects. I see many state utility boards who are doing projects with IITs, and then after there is development of WAMs. JETCO is doing a project. The Gujarat Electricity Transmission Company, they are doing a project with IIT Bombay, and there they are developing the solutions for WAMs, okay, which is utilized for smart grid concepts and fault sensing. So idea is, why not basically have a handshake, have a collaboration where the data can be shared, and if the industry or the utility knows that the data is in safe hand, not being misutilized, okay, at that point of time I don't see any problems. And we have also seen some success cases, okay, by other utilities sharing data on need basis and then after really creating good solution. So yes, we do not have data on internet, I do agree to you, and this is really a challenge, because but then a close collaboration with utilities and industry can be thought as one of the door openers, okay. So, and we have seen some success cases, so we can replicate those success.
Okay, thank you. One more.
Thanks for answering my other queries. Talking about the coding, one thing comes to my mind is we see teaching these things. There is a middle part diamond like carbon, and that we follow the coils. So because in the transformers, when the coating was poor and transformer oil heat up, so there is a generation of hydrogen, and that is the key issue for the explode of the transformers. So if we, because I don't see somebody try that and not my knowledge, because I am not a person in that area. If we can try the diamond like carbon coating on that coiling, so the issue of cleaning of the coating will be very less, because the coating will be very less, grain boundaries are there, and that may reduce drastically the case of explosion of the transformer.
That's true. That's true.
We are from the industry, that's why I am discussing with you.
That's true. So, of course, when you talk on the exclusion of transformers, as per the field statistics, the basic issues, there are two basic issues which has led to maximum number of transformer failures in the world. One is basically bushing, and another is the on-load tapping. This is basically the core problem. Utility procure OLTC, but never they dare to operate OLTC. If you ask someone, some utility guy or an industry guy, how many times in your life you have operated OLTC, okay, in 20 years, example, 2 decades of experience, and they will tell that hardly one time. People don't dare to operate OLTC, and that is where what happens is there is a stagnancy of oil that takes place there. The oil starts degrading and it is not maintained properly. These are all basically the issues that start killing the transformer. On the partial discharge issues of the bushings, the quality of manufacturing of bushings, it leads to this kind of issues. On the transformer end, core and winding and oil insulations, I would say that yes, there are issues, but the kind of the solutions which you mentioned right now and the diagnostic solutions which are available, I think so the gravity can be reduced a lot. Okay. So that is where I mentioned that we have to co-create the solution, right? And this was really a very good example of that. So thank you. Yeah.
For inviting me, and I will be talking this afternoon about advances and challenges for adaptive hypermedia and learner analytics in smart web-based education. As I was introduced, I'm Professor Maria Virvu, and I will be talking mainly about artificial intelligence in learning, in how we can have computer-based learning using artificial intelligence techniques. So this involves topics like adaptivity of the web, learner analytics, immersive serious games for learning, multimedia, social media, affective computing, leading to the recognition and generation of emotions, extensive evaluations that have been conducted, and mainly I will try to show what we have been doing in my university, in my lab with my PhD students in the past years, and show how things can develop, what we aim to do, and how these techniques, artificial intelligence, can influence the whole progress of education, which is a very important issue. So, as I said, I will start by reviewing practices and research performed worldwide and at the Software Engineering Lab of the University of Piraeus. So basically we all know that there is a strong motivation for having e-learning because the needs for education grow very rapidly, and we need to have more educated people. There is always a concern about how fast these people can be educated, and so computers can play an important role in this. E-learning can give us the opportunity to learn independent of place and time. So this saves a lot of time, and you can have e-learning courses which are held in Greece and you can be in India. This is a major advantage which we didn't have in the past. So usually we are talking about synchronous and asynchronous e-learning. So in the synchronous mode, we're actually video conferencing. We're having a conference in video and it's the same time, and so we are having a class, for example, where all participants are there. But in asynchronous e-learning, one can actually work with some course material at any time. So there is no reason and need for all people to be gathered together at the same time. So this offers many advantages as well. Now, there are many e-learning platforms for asynchronous e-learning around the world, and perhaps a lot of organizations already use many of them. For example, very common ones are Moodle and Claroline. These are the very common ones. For example, in Greece, all universities are supposed to use Claroline, which has led to what we call e-class, and this is something that supports all Greek universities except the Open University that is supported by Moodle. These are very nice platforms, but what they don't do, and because they don't use artificial intelligence, so what they can't do, these platforms, is that they do not support individualized instruction, taking into account the needs of individual students. They do not have adaptivity, meaning that they can't adapt dynamically while e-learning is being used. They cannot perform error diagnosis. They can't see, for example, they can't offer diagnosis of what sort of misconceptions a student may have concerning the domain being taught. They do not pick up student preferences. They do not understand, recognize student emotions while they learn, and they can't employ different tutoring strategies while students learn. So these are some of the issues that are really tackled by artificial intelligence techniques, which can lead to smart education, which I'm going to talk about. So I will explain learning analytics. We actually hear data analytics. Well, this is similar. We need data from students in order to analyze using algorithms like machine learning algorithms, but also other techniques that can analyze what students do and what they want to do. So these techniques find out automatically what students think, what students know, what students need, and they are used implicitly while the student works in an e-learning environment without the student realizing.
Do you know the supercomputer of India? Which supercomputers does India have? Param, yes. Another? Param is very old. What about other countries? We have delegates from other places also. In Italy, what is the supercomputer of Italy? Okay. In India, we have Cray supercomputer also. But the is also there. Any other country who can tell their supercomputer? From Greece? What do we have? Okay. In Japan, which supercomputer is there in Japan? Pardon?
There are several supercomputers.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really an exciting topic. So I don't want to load you with very heavy engineering talk right now because all of us are feeling low already in energy. I just want to make it fun for you so that you can also enjoy this, some of the time over here. So you might know or might not be knowing that there is a war going on in the field of supercomputing. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. So apart from the wars that we see, it is supercomputer related war also. And then I'm going to talk about the US Department of Energy supercomputer and what is there inside a supercomputer that we are so much interested about. And is it possible for all of us to get related in this field? I think that will be the most interesting and beneficial part of this. So what are the uses of supercomputer? Can anyone answer to that? The uses. Where is a supercomputer used? Any answers? Where do we use supercomputer? Every country is going for supercomputers. So they are using many high-end compute intensive tasks. For example, in biology, in geography, in weather forecasting, in medicine, in national defense. So all these places, they are using supercomputers. So I might ask you questions, and if you try to answer the question, you might get a reward also. Apart from that, some serious usage that I mentioned earlier. So supercomputers have been used in other purposes also. Can anyone recognize what is there on the screen? Can anyone try to answer? What's this? What's happening?
Acting as a virtual referee.
Okay, that's a good try. Anyone else wants to answer or take a guess what is there on the screen? It's deep blue, good. So you will get a reward for that. Here is a token. Gift for you. Okay, so it's basically Gary Kasparov versus Deep Blue. You must have heard about this, the chess game that happened. What is this? Anyone on this? Go. Who said first? Again? Or you said first? Oh, it's for you again. It's here. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a game of Go, and it's much more complex than chess. And he's the world champion Lee Sedol, who's against AlphaGo, that is by Google. What's this? Anyone can try? You have a prize for this if you answer it. You get a prize. Other? It's kind of a lottery, it's kind of a kaun banega crorepati like game. It's a question and answer game. So it's a US game called Jeopardy. And these are the world champions, Ken and Grab. And the third person is IBM Watson. And in this game, so it's kaun banega crorepati taken to, let us say, 100 to the power of 100. And IBM Watson won this game by a $1 million prize. And IBM gave that all in charity. So we see the usage of supercomputers widespread. So it's used in all these serious cases as well as in such kind of games also. And there is another purpose why people use it. So a supercomputer's speed is measured in petaflops. So hundreds of petaflops. And just to give you an example, what does a petaflop mean? One petaflop is about 1 million PCs working together. This is the kind of power a supercomputer has. And it's not a one petaflop, it's in hundreds of petaflops that the latest supercomputers are working on. In a single petaflop, just to give you an idea, it's about 1 million PCs working together. So how do we measure the speed? Which is the fastest or the most advanced supercomputer is an organization called Top 500, that is top500.org, and it maintains a list of the supercomputers. So this is a standard, international standard, the top 500 list. So this is from last year. As you can see, at the top is a supercomputer from China. So a Chinese supercomputer is at the top of the list, followed by China, by Switzerland, by Japan, and the US supercomputer is at the 5th place. So this is the kind of supercomputing war that's ongoing. So US, who used to be a leader in supercomputer, so last year it was, so these countries, Japan and Switzerland and China, they have left US behind, and now US is at 5th position. And what I'm going to talk about is how this year again US came to the first rank in this top 500 list. And that is what we are going to see about, the world's fastest supercomputer as of today. And it is used by the US Department of Energy. So as I said, like all other countries, the US also uses it for national purpose, the defense and lots of other things. And this is how the roadmap of the US supercomputing has been. So if you see in 2010, US had 2 petaflop supercomputer. And the next generation, they went for a 27 petaflop supercomputer. The next generation is what they are aiming for, that is about 5 to 10 times of the existing supercomputer that they have. So with each generation, the jump that is they're taking is about 5 to 10x. So approximately 200 petaflop supercomputer is what is being achieved now. In order to do that, the US Department of Energy, they made a group, a consortium of universities, and it was called Coral. That was a collaboration of Oak Ridge, Oregon, and Livermore universities. So these are the universities that participate in the US defense program, and they made this collaboration that is called Coral, under which are few supercomputers developed.
Grateful for the opportunity to participate in this intelligent gathering. I want to congratulate the organizers of this conference for their vision, intelligence, and hard work. And fortunately, of course, we have some excellent keynotes. And fortunately, I know some of them. They are some of my best friends. And Professor George, can you stand up? These are some of the world leaders in the field of AI. Professor Maria Briovi, one of the world leaders in the AI. Professor Valentin Malas, one of the world leaders in this AI. So I am fortunate to have the opportunity to collaborate with these great people, great scientists. They are not only great scientists, but great human beings. Now, I am very much moved by the vision of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Luthra. And she mentioned that science and technology for the benefit of society. So of course, the main aim is to help the society, to make the life better for the society. So of course, this is the main aim. When the first telephone was invented, then one of the American politicians, very intelligent, bright, he predicted that day will come when there will be one telephone in every city. So what I mean, that it's difficult to predict the future. But I think Professor Luthra is very wise, because she mentioned that students are equipped with the knowledge who can face the challenge which is coming in the 10 years and which we don't know what challenge is coming. So looks like you are a very visionary vice chancellor in this university. And I learned many things from the keynotes which have been presented, and just like Professor Puri from Italy, he really mentioned networking and so on. So we should not underestimate the power of networking, improve the quality of life and so on. One of the keynotes, Professor Singh, he really started, he gave a very good introduction, say started from computing and then power, then computing, and now in fact I want to concentrate some simple applications. Now I also, I don't belong to any political party, but I am very much impressed by the vision of the government. And I saw on the Google that the government of India has advertised, because I am holding dual citizenship, so I am Indian as well as Austrian. So I have also a lot of interest in things which are happening in India. And by the end of this month, startups can apply for a lot of research grants by the end of this month. And some of the areas which are really, I was very much moved by I work in defense related projects and security related projects, and most of the projects are defense related, so I really love it. And unfortunately, the time is very short, but somebody wants to put the application in, I'll be pleased to join. And if I could find the list, because I was looking the web page, and I was looking the some list which is very innovative, underground vehicles, drones, visible armors, and so on. So, which are the areas I really work and love. Some of the, in fact, I wanted to show two simple applications, but I doubt due to time limitation that I will be able to show two, at least one application I like to show. And since I am Jain, is some sort of religion, so we strongly believe in non-violence. And so around 20 years ago, I thought, well, people are fighting for the last thousands of years. There are wars. And I don't think I am capable to stop wars. So at least one thing which I can do to save human lives, at least. And if I can save one human life, then I think my efforts will be worthy. This is what I believe. So I started working on defense-related projects, say landmine detection, airport security, bomb detection, and so on. And I do not want to make the false impression that, look, we make bombs. In Australia, we do not make landmines, but we detect bombs, we detect landmines, and unfortunately, there is war. There are wars, and not only the security personnel, but after the war, many innocent people get killed. They say in Afghanistan and so on, some farmers and so on, they get killed due to unexploded ordnance and so on and so on. So this is what I do. I work on the system to detect explosives